once upon a time, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I did a little experiment and I made a WooCommerce site where you could go on and you could just buy like £10 worth of an LNUL withdrawal. So you could buy some Bitcoin for a fiat payment. And I ran that shop, I guess, for about half an hour online. And I sold about 200 quid's worth of Bitcoin. And then I freaked out, got scared, thought the regulators would come after me. So I shut it down. But I always wanted that to also exist as an extension in LNbits. We have a whole bunch of LNbits users all over the world, and a lot of them live in jurisdictions which are less scary than the UK. So it's really up to them if they want to use this extension. But all it gives you is a nice public page where you can, in the back end, you can set a bunch of different products. So how much you're willing to sell, how much Bitcoin you're willing to sell. And then you can put in a haircut so you can make some money yourself. And then people can come along and pay fiat, get Bitcoin. This is ideal for somebody in their local community if they want to sell a little bit of Bitcoin, or to their friends, family, or a Bitcoin meetup maybe. But if I click on one of these products and I click buy, it will take me to the order page. And in the order page, I can pay in fiat. So this here is actually a Stripe payment link. This is using the Stripe payment feature, which we have in LNbits, which we recently added. I'll make a video for that as well, and I'll post it at the same time as this video on how to set that up. But basically all we need to do now is click on open link. It will take us to a Stripe payment page. I'm already logged in, so I don't need to put in my bank details. If you weren't, then you'd have to put in your bank details. I'm going to click pay. I'm paying £2. And then there we are. It redirects me to just a random page. You set that up in the back end when you set up Stripe. But then on the other page, on the order page, it's redirected me to a withdraw page. So I can scan that QR code. I can hit receive. And then I get the sats. That's it. Pay some fiat, get some sats. And then the merchant who's selling the sats can also set the haircut, make a little bit of money themselves. Yeah, we get redirected to this nice order claimed page. So let's take a little look at the back end of the extension, shall we? So when we go into the back end of the extension, we have settings. So we've got a title for the banner area on that public page, as well as a description, and then an image, which we can set for that banner as well. So you can really customize this as to how you want it. And then you can set your currency. I've got GBP because I'm in the UK. The send wallet, this is where the funds will be sent from. So obviously you need to make sure you've got enough Bitcoin in there to honor the payments. And then the receive wallet, I've made a wallet called Stripe. Now, when you set up the Stripe funding provider, you'll invoices, in order to make LNbits bookkeeping still make sense, it still generates an invoice and then settles the invoice just like it would a Bitcoin Lightning invoice. So I've just made a Stripe wallet here just to kind of split it up to make it a bit simpler for accounting. And then I've set the haircut to 5%, so I'm charging 5% to sell the Bitcoin. We've got a couple of toggles. So we've got auto convert. This will auto convert for an exchange rate, which we see on the public page, where it just fetches the exchange rate when somebody visits the public page. And you can see it's roughly, because when someone actually clicks on buy, it will then calculate, once the payment's gone through, it will calculate the exchange rate on the fly for the withdraw part of the order page. And then it will keep that, so they could just return to that order page later on and it'll still be for the same exchange rate as it was before. And then we have why would you want to disable that? So if you disable that, when you create a product, so if I disable and then click on here, you can actually set the price of your different products. Now, this isn't particularly useful for Bitcoiners, but we have some crazy people out there who use LNbits as its own little internal shitcoin server in, say, a co-working space, or for a music festival, or for a school. And it's pretty cool because everything just kind of works. So Fake Wallet is a funding source you can use in LNbits, which means it's completely detached from anything Bitcoin. And then, so with that, people who are coming into your co-working space, they could pay, £20 for 20 co-working coins, co-working space coins, and then they could go around and then pay for products in the co-working space. Really interesting fringe use case for LNbits, and it's pretty cool. We have this little Fiat testing toggle. This is really for us developers. When we click onto testing, it means that instead of generating the Stripe charge, it will just generate a regular normal Bitcoin Lightning invoice, which you can pay, and then it will redirect you to the withdraw. And that really is just for us developers. And then we have the launch page. So this will enable this public page. You can toggle that and it'll turn off the public page. We've got a couple of toggles which are disabled, email and Nostr. Because we have notifications in the back end of LNbits, we can leverage that to send a thank you message with a link with the withdraw part of the order page once somebody pays. So in the future, somebody could go to that order page and they could put in their email or they could put in their Nostr identifier. And if they do that, it will message them and just say, thank you for your order. Here's the link to withdraw your sats or whatever. If they are using Nostr, we also have another disabled area over here coming soon, which is as well as message them to say, thank you for your order. Here's a link to withdraw your funds. They could also follow up afterwards on the order page or the withdraw page to say, hey, I didn't receive my coins. And then you can communicate with them directly as a merchant. So looking forward to implementing that. We have our products. It's pretty straightforward. You just enter the amount in here, hit create product. It creates one of these little cards. And then you just click on this button and it will take you to the public page. And then in the bottom here, we've got a table with all the orders which have happened. Again, just in case you need to resolve an order with one of your customers. And then one little cheeky thing, which is worth mentioning. If you go into the wallet which you're actually sending the funds, the send wallet, you'll see that we sent the funds, and then also there's a cheeky little tribute to support LNbits. So this is actually a free-to-use extension, but it's also paid in that every time there's a transaction, 0.5% gets sent to the LNbits team to keep a roof over our heads and give us some money to continue developing this cool little extension. And I think this is a really interesting model for Bitcoin and Lightning in that in LNbits we have paid extensions, but you can offer an extension. You can build an extension, offer it for free, and then it just does a split payment and then sends a few sats every time there's a transaction within that extension. And I think it's an interesting model for, a paid extension and for developers to get paid to develop functionality. So on that, you should probably always, in settings, set the haircut to at least 0.5%. I think, 5-10% is fair if you're selling Bitcoin to your local community or friends, family, whatever. But anyway, that's it. Pretty simple to set up. Useful for, as I said, for people selling Bitcoin locally or, nationally, depending upon where you live and depending what the rules are. Or, maybe you apply for all those crazy licenses to do such things. But really interesting feature for LNbits. Obviously, it has its own API. And we have a couple of Bitcoin exchanges who played around with LNbits and using the API in their software stack. So this potentially could also be something which they use in their stack and then offer a different front end maybe for the selling of the coins. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out that Fiat Provider feature video, which I'll do to accompany this video. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.